Cuba, it's me! Welcome to episode 88 of The W.I.L.L.I.W Show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now today, on The W.I.L.L.I.W Show, I wanted to talk about road trips. I'm very excited for tomorrow, as tomorrow is my first big road trip ever in the car with the one and only Joey Allen, who has blessed me to give me and the cameraman a ride tomorrow. And I just wanted to think about some of my other past memories on the road trips, but first I want to talk about what should me and Joey Allen do on the road trip. The cameraman keeps himself pretty busy listening to his Discman, so he's not too much. And me and Joey Allen both like rap music, and I thought maybe should I give him a lesson on some of the songs that I really like that he probably hasn't heard back in the day, the unhidden gems that will blow his mind. Should I try and get up to date with the hip new stuff that Joey Allen might know that I don't? Should we talk wrestling? Isn't that what you're supposed to do when you're in a car and you're on a road trip about wrestling? Isn't that where you learn the business? Should we sit and talk bad about other wrestlers? Should we talk good about other wrestlers? Should we talk about WWE? Should we talk about like different promotions, which ones we want to work for, which ones we've had bad experiences with? So let us know what me and Joey Allen should do on our road trip. But I wanted to talk about some other funny road trips. I remember a lot of them, the 21st Century Fox was driving us, because none of us drove back then. And I remember one time she was up all day, drove us all the way there, did a show, and was driving back, and she was getting so tired, she was zooming off the road, and then there's those little bumps that make that sound when you start veering off the road, and so we had to stop and everything. I remember another time when we were coming back from Lockport or Buffalo, and it was a long day, we just wanted to get home, and we missed our exit because there was no GPS back then. We relied on maps, and somehow, I don't want to say I was the navigator, I may have been, I hope it wasn't me, but the navigator got her lost. She was frustrated, as we all were, and so we ended up doing an extra hour and a half on this road trip, and it was not fun, and we were very, freaking out, and I think we had enough gas, so that was good. And then another road trip, one time I was with Ike Shaw, and there was two of us and Ike Shaw, and no one drove but Ike Shaw, and his meds started kicking in, and he was like, somebody's gonna have to drive. And I said, no, not me. I'm not a good driver, only drove a little bit. And I didn't have a license, and somebody convinced me that, or I think Ike did, because it was either that or we were going to sleep on the side of the road for 5 hours. So I decided that I would drive. And I almost got us killed in an accident because we were behind this U-Haul, and there was a light, but pretty far away. And then all of a sudden, the light was green and the U-Haul was going. Well, I'm not the greatest driver. And all of a sudden the U-Haul stopped, and I guess the light had turned red, but I couldn't see it anymore because the truck was so high. So I slammed on the brakes, and we fishtailed and came this close to crashing into the U-Haul. And Ike just laughed and went, ha ha ha, you're right, you're not a good driver, Elian. I'm just come on, man, my life just flashed before my eyes. I remember another time, I believe it was me, Eddie Osborne, Fox, and somebody else. And we were driving to Tilsonburg for a show, and we had gone right after work, and Eddie Osborne had to use the bathroom so bad. And I was teasing the heck out of him. So finally we stopped at this rusted, broken down gas station, and it was so disgusting. But he made it in just in the nick of time. But the toilet was so disgusting that he said he couldn't even sit on it. There's been some great road trips. I remember the one when we were with Buck 10, and we went to one show, and in Canada at some street fair, and then we went to another one in the States, and we were all starving, but we were late to the show as we couldn't find Cayuga Lake, and so we had to just stop. So I think Eddie Osborne had to phone the promoter to get directions, and Buck 10 was I'm just going to the bathroom, guys, quickly. And we were no, we all have to go, we all want food. But and he's and he just left, and we're and then so we're waiting for him. We're okay, we're ready to go now, we're get on the road. And he comes back with a salad from Wendy's and sats there in between me and I think it was Jesse Jones eating this salad. And it's you gotta be kidding me. We're starving and we're pressed for time, and you go get the Wendy's salad and then eat it. And then he's like halfway done it, and he drooled all in it. And he's like, "Anybody want a bite?" And we're like, "No, just eat it, just eat it." And then there's also the time where I did a couple episodes on Greatest Ribs where I was with Lance Malibu and we got stopped at the border and our whole car searched, and then he said that we were denied, and he's like, "We're just gonna make a run for it," and he pulls in to go to the U.S. and I was like freaking out. I remember on another one I was on a tour with Ernie Todd and Thorne, and it was Kerry Brown and Thorne. Kerry Brown was driving, and then it was me, Eddie Osborne, Frenchie Lamont, the midget wrestler, and one other guy, some caveman guy, and we played this one Tim McGraw song, "Don't Save the Girl." I still remember all the words to this. We played it on repeat like 50 times in a row because Frenchie hated it, and we would all sing it over and over and over. And to this day, I actually really love that song, and I'm not normally a country guy, but it brings back great memories. I remember a couple times, like, I can never sleep in cars. It's not my thing. I can't sleep when I'm in a car. I wish I could sometimes. And I remember this one time after work, and we went down to do one of Chuck's shows in Welland, and Fox and Eddie Osborne picked me up, and we are gonna go to this show in Welland, and I was listening to the Styles P song over and over and over with my Discman on and just ignoring them, and to me that was still a great memory. I love some of the road trips. One time, me and Eddie Osborne, we came back home for like Christmas or something to visit our families to Campbell River, BC. And he's like, "Oh, I talked to Michelle Starr. I got us a tryout match, like for ECCW." And I was like, "All right, that's awesome." So my mom drove us to the Nanaimo ferry terminal. We got on the ferry. I can't remember. I think we took a bus. And it wasn't even an ECCW show. They were just doing their training school, and they had some training matches. So me and Eddie Osborne went out there, and in our old fashion back in 2001, we did every possible move we could think of, and there was like a little hole in the locker room where Star or whoever else would peek out at us and watch the matches, and I don't think he was impressed because we just tried to do so much, but we had no characters. So, okay, that was fine. So now, we had to try and get back to the ferry, and I think this was in like Burnaby. It wasn't close to where the ferry was. It was a ways. And we're like, "What should we do? Should we just walk?" And I was like, "I have a bit of money. Like, why don't we get a hotel?" But I didn't have a credit card. So we went to a couple hotels. They're like, "We can't take you if you didn't have a credit card." So finally, we found this one hotel that would take cash. And it was one of the rundown ones. But it was a hotel. So we got the hotel, and we were doing something. I think we went to the store to get like some munchies or some food or something. And like, there was some crazy guy with a knife, and some girl was like, "Watch out for that guy with a knife," and we're like, "Oh, that's all right, we're fine." So then we went back, and then we were like, we're gonna walk to the ferry terminal. So excuse me. So I think we ended up trying to figure out the public transit system, and we ended up taking some kind of a bus, and we got back there, and then we had to phone my mom and say, "Hey, this is the time we're meeting you at," and so she was able to do it. So it was such a crazy, like, I'm not going to get into all the specifics because some of it's not appropriate for the cameraman to hear, but it was pretty unreal experience that night. We're lucky we had each other, I'll tell you that right now, and I don't mean in a cuddly way. I just mean if we didn't have each other's backs, just one person out there alone we were in the wrong end of town, and we did not know what was going on. But to this day, it wasn't really worth it wrestling-wise, but it was worth it memory-wise, because those are the fun memories. I love those kind of things. I have a lot of great road trips from when I was a kid, going to hockey tournaments, baseball tournaments, but I'm talking wrestling road trips, because there's nothing that could beat a wrestling road trip, obviously. And so I just want to put it out there. What should me and Joey Allen do in the car tomorrow? That's a challenge. Whatever gets the most votes, I'm going to try and hold them to it. If we do one of those things where it's like count punch buggies or I spy with my little eye, I don't want to do it. I know he doesn't want to do it. But for the good of the Willow Show, I think me and Joey Allen should do something epic for this road trip. Just, I don't know, maybe I should film a Willow Show of us in the car. Like, I think that'd be kind of cool. Like, we got to come up with something. So maybe he'll have some ideas. Maybe some of you guys will have some ideas. Those are just a few quick things off the top of my head when I think about road trips. There's been so many other ones. Like I remember this one when we wrestled at PWX and Eddie Osborne like spat on their title and threw it down. And then we went to Orangeville to wrestle a Wild Thing show, and I was like, I had to change in the car to get ready for the show because we were late. Like, there's been some pretty funny ones. A lot of them involve Fox as a driver. She drove us so many places. Thank you, Fox. And so, yeah, this is episode 88 of The W.I.L.L.I.W Show, the road trip version. I'm going to do a part 2 to this when I can really think of some good ones in good detail. I just kind of quickly ran through them off the top of my head, but it's always fun. And remember, like, or you get a leg drop. Comment, or you get a clothesline. Subscribe, or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba!